Okay, so I stumbled into this discussion when I found the new Ubisoft Terms of Use, or Terms of Service, waiting for me in my email. And I've got to say that after reading through these cover to cover, the wording used is some of the most perplexing and disorganized that I have ever seen in this industry. But let me first backtrack just briefly to show you how Ubisoft has tried to get this to fly under the radar, and then we can catch back up with the present. Now, for anyone that tried to log in on May the 12th to any of their Ubi titles, they were met with this new Terms of Service agreement, and since I use Uplay to launch my games, here is that screenshot. So when you first take a look at this, it looks pretty standard, until you reach the third sentence that reads, and I am quoting, "If you do not agree, you can stop using the services and request that we close your account on your account management page in the account information section and close your Ubisoft account." Now, this pop-up also gives you a handy link to read the summary of the key changes, and you can either click I accept or ask me later, and then you must confirm. So this new agreement is already starting off with some pretty heavy-handed language, especially considering what happens to the Ubi titles you currently own if you do not click I accept. And in case you are wondering, you lose all access to your Ubi titles as of August the 12th. All of them, unless you agree. Traveling down this rabbit hole just a little bit more, I chose to click on the Summary of Key Changes link, and here's where I landed. Now, it starts off with a bit of explanation and then lands on the 3 key changes included in the new agreement. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but the 3 key changes included making the rules of conduct and the potential sanctions more transparent, updating report features and processes to flag prohibited conduct and content, and installing better security to protect your account and account information. In general, it all looks fairly straightforward and innocent, and for most Ubisoft users, this is where you would think our journey ends. But you can go so much further for the truth. If you really want to see just how mind-numbing this agreement has become, try clicking on the Update Terms of Use link, and let the descent into madness commence. For US users, you were met with a 15-point Terms of Use agreement that is bloated with legalese and many opaque terms and phrases. The first 5 bullet points are standard issue for most TOS agreements, although I will jump back into a few new items worthy of note, but that's going to be a little later in the video. Once you hit Section 6 of this agreement, it becomes an assault on logic, not to mention privacy. So the first bits of this describe UGC, or user-generated content, and what can be described as content within this category. And then it really goes all in. Section 6.1 drops the legal hammer and essentially says that any UGC created will be irrevocably assigned to Ubisoft with full guarantee and on a worldwide basis. Now, they are claiming the right to copy, host, modify, and display publicly any UGC without mentioning where it came from, and they can also use it for their own internal projects. At first glance, the way this reads is if you use any Ubisoft content, their logo, images, sounds, or even gameplay in your content creation, that gives them legal carte blanche over it. They can use it, claim it, strike it, or even remove it at their discretion, and furthermore, if they incur any legal cost, say from third parties or from someone whose images appeared in your content, well, you're responsible for those as well. So at this point, I was prepared to go off the deep end and nuke my account with Ubisoft and just move on. I don't think any content creator, streamer, or someone who just values their personal privacy would take a look at these terms and in this wording and blindly click the accept button. My content is my content. I've spent thousands of hours recording and scripting that content, and there is absolutely no way in hell I'm just going to hand it over to anyone without proper compensation and recognition. Now, to be fair, the use of content recorded directly from a game is a bit of a gray area, but it was addressed back in 2016 on the Ubisoft forums, and it touched on a wide range of subjects, including monetization. UGC, or user-generated content, is generally considered to be immensely valuable to a publisher for sheer outreach, promotion, and the little to no monetary investment needed on the publisher's side. Essentially mandating that all content creators must sign an agreement so over the top and all-encompassing will hurt Ubisoft's gamer base, to say nothing of how this could be perceived as a means to control the media in an attempt to remove negative press and censor anyone who does not toe the corporate line. Prior to publishing this video, I was in discussions with several other content creators, and after reading the TOS for ourselves, we were all coming to the same conclusion of just how bad this had become, as Ubisoft had essentially gone full authoritarian. Luckily, I stumbled into a YouTube channel created by an attorney who uploads content concerning these type of issues, and he had just posted a lengthy explanation directed squarely at these new terms of service, how poorly written and designed they truly are, and he also clearly lays out what Ubisoft is trying to convey in this agreement. I will include links to the Hogue Law Firm channel and their series entitled Virtual Legality in the video description below, but needless to say that Mr. Hogue was able to cut through all the legal jargon and poorly designed agreement to settle the matter at hand. Is Ubisoft attempting to enact the worst possible case scenario of total control over all intellectual rights to their games? According to Hogue and his interpretation of this agreement, that answer is no. Although the way this document is constructed is haphazard at best, and it certainly conveys that the media cataclysm is incoming for independent content creators. This might get a bit boring, but I'm going to reference the North American agreement now and read from Section 6, which is, according to Hogue, where the confusion begins. Okay, so reading directly from the introduction of Section 6, it says, "In certain services, you may create, upload, edit, modify, adapt, publish, and/or submit names, images, designs, skins, photos, videos, maps, music compositions or sheets, streams, activities, and other materials, collectively user-generated content or UGC." Moving on to Section 6.1, Summary of Derived UGC, we are the sole owner of all intellectual property rights relating to derived UGC. You, meaning us, the content creators, hereby irrevocably assign to Ubisoft with full title guarantee, free of charge, all intellectual property rights and rights of use you, again that's us, may have over derived UGC on a worldwide basis and for the period of protection of each right. We may file or register any application for intellectual property rights relating to derived UGC in our name and in all countries in the world. In this respect, you must 1. Sign and supply any document, deed of transfer, requested by us for all registration purposes, and 2. Provide all necessary assistance to us, at our expense, and any related action or procedure. Alright, let's take a quick time out as this TOS agreement uses a series of befuddling drop-downs. If you never clicked on Section 1, you would never see what Ubisoft is trying to define as their services. Referencing that portion of this agreement, and this particular sentence is of extreme importance. The terms govern your use of our games. That's us using their games. Downloadable content, season passes, game software contained on disk, download or streamed, other software products, and online and mobile services, including their online functions and other features, any updates, upgrades thereto, any related websites, and Ubisoft platforms. So what they are attempting to do here, admittedly very poorly, is to describe what it is that Ubisoft is providing, their services to us. And knowing that, we can jump back down to Section 6 and apply the term services and how Ubisoft describes them in this first paragraph. What they are not doing in this section is stating that they have all control over anything uploaded to YouTube or Twitch or any other social media platforms. No. According to Hogue, they are outlining the argument that when you upload, edit, modify, adapt, etc. to a Ubisoft site, a game or service, then they have to establish control over that media. So here's an example. I go out and create an in-house fan art collection of photos from The Division 2 and I upload it to my channel and I monetize it. According to Hogue, no problems here. I remain in control of my content and protections under the Fair Use Act. I send that same fan art collection to a dev at Massive or Ubisoft to show off in one of their streams or to show off in-house, then it falls under control of Ubisoft. You see the difference here? Admittedly, it is horribly written and constructed, but according to this virtual legality explanation from the Hogue law firm, that is what Ubisoft is attempting to convey. And if anyone from Ubisoft corporate or legal happens to view this video, please feel free to comment as to my summary of the agreement in Section 6. So essentially, they are establishing their right to the content we share directly with them through their services, even our likeness, so that they can be empowered to share it worldwide. So easy remedy here: if you want to maintain full control of your content and likeness, don't share anything with Ubisoft through their services, and there should be no problems. Hopefully this explanation sheds some much needed light onto this section of the TOS agreement, as I was personally extremely concerned with the wording in this section. Having a corporation take full control of any content that I created using their games was scary enough, but then seeing the wording that I would be liable for any legal costs for royalties and third-party claims was enough to break even the strongest resolve. Again, I credit Hogue and his legal expertise for cutting through the clutter and providing that much-needed clarity. Moving onwards and jumping back to a section of the agreement I mentioned earlier in the video, and I want to take a look at Section 3. The wording for this area of the TOS varies wildly between geographic regions, so I am again referencing the North American version, which seems to be more lax than other areas. Still, there are some areas of concern that seem to give Ubisoft and its representatives broad-ranging powers over the social domain. Now, most of what I am reading through this Section 3 is directed at griefing, account trading, DDoS attacks, impersonating a Ubisoft employee, or even actions against minors, which if you are doing in a gaming environment is fucking sick. On a side note, and not listed in my North American version, is how data mining is now considered bannable in certain regions. Still, all that aside, what I want to concentrate on are the last two offenses listed in my North American version, and these are very concerning to me. First up is engaging in any conduct which interrupts the general flow of gameplay in the game client, forum, or any other Ubisoft medium, and this is directed at power leveling. Now, in some other regions, I have seen this section even include going AFK, which is now a bannable offense. Of equal concern, this last sentence of refuse to obey the instructions of any Ubisoft representative is just puzzling. This looks to me to give any UB employee the authority to demand actions be taken, and we as gamers are expected to adhere to them. This section of the agreement in other regions is even more specific, and it includes Ubisoft star players as representatives. Now, I'm all for professional conduct and treating everyone fairly, but this feels to me as a play for even more control over areas of the arena outside of the physical game. My hope is this explanation clears this issue up a bit and cuts through the ambiguity of all the legalese. And just to clarify, I am not personally an attorney. I specialize in contracts, finance, and general IT applications, so I was reliant on the explanations of the Hogue law firm to cut through this tragedy of a document. Ultimately, is Ubisoft completely in the clear here, and it was just a simple misunderstanding? I'm not going to go that far, as there are provisions for them to amend this agreement at any time as they see fit. Additionally, Section 3 concerns any gamer or content creator that values the right of free speech, although there are some positive areas of this section squarely aimed at cheaters. Section 6 was a poorly written literary hand grenade that could have been structured to provide clarity versus rage and confusion. I'm going to wrap this one up right here, and I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments section below. If you haven't yet smashed that sub button, please do so, and don't forget to click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from my YouTube channel. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not, with a thumbs down. If you feel like supporting my content creation, links to my Patreon and merchandise stores in the video description below. Follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts concerning most topics gaming related. And until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.